Hello, shrimp friends. Recently, I've noticed some big streamers on Twitch start using one of the add-ons that I'd been using for quite a while, but I had not seen a lot of people use it outside of me, really. As you may guess, just looking at my avatar, it's Cell Raid Frames. And if you didn't, that means you're a normal person and not a weeb. One of the main reasons I started using this add-on was during Mythic Tendril progress. I'd been using a combination of weak auras, LVUI, and clicked. But I switched over to that to see if I can help alleviate some frame rate problems that I was having on that fight. But I found out like a lot of the features that I'd used separately with like weak auras and some of the buff tracking with LVUI actually worked. And they were a lot easier to configure too. While this isn't exactly a tutorial, I want to go over two features that I absolutely love for my absolutely big smooth brain. And one of them is highlights, which did exist in LVUI, but there's no way to set the frame levels on it. So if you had two different colors with two different debuffs or buffs, they would collide and they would not like prioritize each other. So it made things like a lot harder. And with the colors, you're also able to fade on them. This makes things really easy if you're not always looking at your raid frames. I have mine on the left side, which a lot of people have theirs on the bottom too, but I find it's just as easy to see some of these if you get used to the colors you set up. I actually primarily only use the color feature on raids. It's usually I find it a little bit too jaunting for 5-man content. So what I ended up using as my second favorite feature is the frame glows. And frame glows aren't something brand new, so it's nothing crazy, but what you end up getting with Cell is something you don't have in weak auras, which I was using before, is you can actually fade the glows. And so I make mine solid, and then they start fading over time. You end up seeing the little lines in between them, so you can tell when it's about to elapse. And it makes it a lot easier to see certain things you want. Maybe like Life Bloom for Druid. Alright, now let's see them in action. Here I'm just doing LFR, and I'm on my Druid. There's a couple things I like to track. So I have my Life Bloom on green, and it's above everything else, so I don't have to worry about anything colliding with like the rejuves or germinations. For rejuve and germination, there's a little bit of a learning curve if you're going to do something like this where you're going to have multiple fades in there, since there's going to be a couple different colors that ends up happening depending on what you have on top and what you have on bottom, and what the remaining duration is. Alright, let's take a look at how these configured. I called them highlights before because that's actually what they're called in LVUI or highlights, but they're actually called colors in Cell. You can just go in the create menu, do a buff, and go into color. I won't make one now, but I'll just go ahead and show you how my other ones are configured. You can even see on the side how it's progressing down in color based on the duration and the transparency. You have two options too, how you actually want to have either the current health bar, which is basically their current health instead of the full bar, or we can do the entire bar. I find current to be a lot easier. If you're going to use this feature with multiple highlights, you definitely want to set the frame levels for each one you want to prioritize. Level 1 is going to end up being on the bottom, level 2 would be above, just like I have this one. This one's for germination, so you always want to have rejuve first, because obviously if they don't have rejuve, you won't see it, but if they have germination, you want to see this one instead, so you know not to reapply rejuve until it's done. And lastly, frame glows. I use this feature to track Chi Harmony. I found it a lot easier when I was playing Mistweaver. This one I'm tracking Light Bloom. And the one thing about frame glows with weak auras, they're easy to set. You can just do the unit frame glow, but they don't actually fade over time based on duration. And these ones actually do, which makes it really nice. While not truly solid, the best way to get a solid line is to actually just maximize the lines, the frequency, and the length, and it ends up making it, and sometimes depending on what like combination there is, sometimes you can see the little lines spacing out. But often not, it looks like a solid line for the most part until it starts going down in duration. That's really it for now. I think I'm probably looking to exploring some more features, as I know they added a few new things. Probably during the launch just to make sure everything's fine, in case there's anything new that pops up. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment below and I can answer you. Maybe I'll make some more tutorial videos on it. Thanks.